Hey, hi everyone, Michael Procaccini with Art on Duval, Key West. We are so excited about our new video production, Meet the Artist Key West. Up next is an in-depth interview with local artist Kreg Kelley. Fantastic abstract artist. He's going to give some insights as to what it's like to be an artist in Key West and what it's like to live in Key West as an artist. We really hope you enjoy the production. If you do and you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. It would mean a lot. Enjoy.
Coming to Key West for the first time for me was kind of like walking into a painting, actually. I love nature and wildlife, and I'll never forget, I visited a friend literally 4 months before I first moved here, and I came down and I was just awestruck. I thought I was walking through a painting, like a Monet or just a painting. It felt beautiful. And as an artist, I was looking for a place like that or an environment that would encourage me, to create. And it just immediately, I felt a connection immediately with the island. One of the first pieces I actually worked on, moving to Key West, I did a little study of the area and realizing that roosters were extremely popular. So I did my first, I think it was my first actual animal, but I did a variation of a rooster. I called it the conch cock, and incorporated antique sheet music and butterflies, and it immediately sold, and I've done about, 10 since then. So yeah, the rooster, the Key West rooster was my first painting here. Living in Key West, again, going back to what I initially said, to me it's very inspirational because of the nature. To me, I'm very, the weather really affects my mood, and I lived in DC and then also Connecticut for many years, and this is just an environment that I only knew of on vacations or whatnot, and it was always a dream of mine to, work in a beautiful environment. So yeah, living in Key West, okay. So when you live here, space is such a huge thing. So I actually have turned my kitchen basically, the little eating area, no bigger than, 5 foot square. That's my studio space, basically. I have all my spotlights, all my work. As long as the canvas can fit there, I can work. I'm actually working on a 60 by 60 right now, a commission, which it's so difficult to get it in and out. But anyway, it has its benefits of living in Key West. That's one of the drawbacks, is space allowance. Probably my biggest partner in crime is my cat. I moved here with an elderly cat. I had him he was 20 years old. His name was Merlin, but he actually passed away after a year living here. And then at the SPCA here, I was introduced to a little kitten, and he didn't get along with any of the other kittens, kind of a loner. And so I immediately went and adopted him, and it's been, 6 years, and every night, every painting I've ever worked on, he's always just chilling, whether he's trying to walk in the paint or, just watching me from afar, he's always in the background there. And to me, it gives me a sense of, company, and especially at night, working, that midnight oil through the late hours. So yeah, my cat's awesome. Morpheus is his name, by the way, so yeah. So yeah, back in DC, in my free time, I would go to the museums, and I'd see the Pollocks and the Picassos and the Chagalls, Mirots, and all the masters that have made it, and what art should be. And I remember going there a lot of times, honestly, and looking closely, especially at a lot of the Picassos, and being, like I could do that. Just get it together. You can do this. So that to me, you know, looking at the masters up close, studying the brushstrokes, that was a huge inspiration. And then I was so lucky to live in DC. I mean, it was also the Phillips collection, the National Portrait Gallery. I mean, there's countless of, there wasn't a shortness of art there, let's just put it that way. And yeah, being, again, self-taught, those were my, and being a history buff, those museums were, that was my education, basically. A real funny story, it was a rainy Monday, you know, walking through the National Gallery and the Smithsonian. And, you know, of course, I go quickly past the Rothko section into the Pollock section, one of my favorite artists. And there's a security guard there, and he noticed I've always show up, you know, on Mondays when, you know, there's not a lot of people, so I can actually enjoy the art and not a lot of, you know, crying babies and whatnot. So, so the security guy, he comes up to me and he goes, "I'll tell you a quick little secret about this painting. You know, if you look real closely in the center here, you know, what do you see?" And I'm like, "You know, I see paints." But he goes, "Look closer." He goes, "Do you see that little trail?" And I was like, I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see the trail. And then all of a sudden I see this little body of, like, it looked like a, you know, cockroach. And so he's like, "Yeah." He goes, there's a cockroach in this painting. And I'm like, and I'm in the National Gallery of Art, you know, that right there was like how comical art to me should be and is. And, you know, reading the biographies and studying these artists that are long gone, the comedy, you know, and also the, you know, they didn't care. There was no need to go back and correct that. Pollock knew that, you know, the cockroach was there. It's just funny that he left it there. And not many people know that. So I thought that was pretty cool and funny as well. So the whole inspiration behind the Time Flies Tempus Fugit series, you know, again, I took Latin in high school, so that really inspired the theme and the inspiration. But it was the antique collecting and coming across these antique clocks and keys, and just like a chef in a kitchen, it's like, oh, you have all these ingredients, you know, what can you do with them? So I remember I kind of came home late one night in DC about 10 years ago, after a couple bars here and there, but laid down this enormous 48 by 60 canvas, and I just got this package that arrived that had all these antique clocks in it. And so I laid them all out, and it sort of reminded me of like a constellation, and, you know, looking up at the sky, and again, that connection with mythology and Roman history. I felt this sort of this magic happening, and I just ran with it. I finished that piece within a week, and long story short, that's the same piece that I came down here to Key West with, and it's the first piece that Michael saw, and that's how I got into basically art on Duval, here on Duval Street. So that's how the whole connection happened there. So yeah, it's crazy how things work out like that. So in a lot of my work, I utilize antique sheet music, mostly from the 1800s. Growing up, I was taught to play the piano. I took 7 years of that. My sister's the pianist, not myself. But I always thought that sheet music was just so beautiful to look at. And again, going to my passion for collecting antique items, collecting antique sheet music was just, to me, like, oh my gosh, how amazing to put that within the artwork. And again, studying the masters, especially Magritte, a lot of the Dada artists, Duchamp and Jacques Villon, they used a lot of sheet music in their work as well from the 1920s and 30s. And so I thought it's just so beautiful to me. And almost all of my modern work in the past 10 years or so involves sheet music in some form or another. And my new thing is with the sheet music is I put it on the sides as well as in the main part of the piece. But all of the sides of my work now, especially with the Time Flies series, incorporates the sheet music. So the reason why I chose Key West initially, aside from the beauty of the island, is that it's an art destination. Some of the greatest artists have been in and out of this island. They draw inspiration from the island. and it brings in a lot of some great collectors from around the world. Being on Duval Street with Art on Duval is huge as a local artist. It gives you one of the best platforms to display your work and showcase your work. And also with Art on Duval here, there's something to be said about the intimacy of the group of artists here. It's not a large group. It's a small, hand-selected group of talent that I'm very honored to be a part of. And I draw inspiration from these artists, and I hope that they do the same with seeing my work as well. It's kind of this synergy, this eclectic energy that is pretty awesome. And that's what I love about Key West, especially. There's that artistic kind of connection that is here on this small island.